Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do a simple tune-up on this Singer 401A. Obviously I don't know why people clicked on this video. If they're just bought this machine, they're not sure, how to operate it. But rest assured, this is just going to be a simple tune-up. If you got one of these machines and you're having problems, I'm going to go over quite a few things, and I'm going to timestamp the video, so if you want to jump ahead, feel free to do that if you're just looking for a specific topic as far as a problem you're having with the machine. And the only tools you're going to need if you want to tune this up is a flat screwdriver just to take the top cover off, a small screwdriver to adjust the bobbin tension if that's required, and some sewing machine oil and a pack of new needles. One thing that's nice when you get a machine, if you get the manual, I was fortunate enough to get the manual with this machine. It really helps to figure out, if you're new to one of these, what all it will do. Another important thing is you want to know what kind of bobbin you need. This takes a class 66, drops in right through the top here. This sewing machine kind of came along after the 301. The difference is the 301, 201, they're just straight stitch sewing machines. And this one will do a whole bunch of stitches. Bear in mind if this is working properly. This is kind of the problem area right here on these. I've gone through a few of these machines. What happens if people have these and they don't use all these features, none of the mechanics up here are moving. And over time, the oil's going to dry out and these features won't work anymore. So it's important that if you have one of these, that you use all those different stitches once in a while, or just keep it oiled up regularly. The way I usually go through the machine is I will take off the bottom, the top, and this face plate over here. Now the reason I turn the angle of the camera, or the machine I should say, is if you buy one of these, this is the slant-o-matic design. It's a slant needle machine. You can see right here on the booklet, slant-o-matic Singer. And what they were thinking when they came up with this design is they have this very narrow area here on the front, and the needle bar is angled forward, and it's a little bit higher foot. So what they're driving at is visibility is supposed to be better when you're working on something here, and it is. So the idea did work out, whoever engineered this idea. And yeah, like I said, if you want to skip ahead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do what I always do. I'm going to work on the bottom, the side, the top, and if you're having problems with your machine and it has to do with these two selection dials up here, I will work on that or talk about that a little bit separately later on in the video. So what I'm going to do is switch us over to a different camera angle and just start taking things off the machine, and then I can see what's going on, because I just got this the other day. I haven't done anything with it, and this came with it. I blocked out the name just for privacy reasons, but it was serviced 3/14/1994, so 28 years ago somebody took it in and got it serviced, so that's a good thing. The first thing you'll do when you look at the bottom here, you're going to see just a little thumb screw here. Maybe there'll still be a piece of felt there, and tip this forward. This was so dirty on the bottom the other day, well, full of lint, that I already blew this off a little bit. Just I didn't want to bring all that into the house. And here's what we're looking at. This is let's see if I can get a little better light here. This is let's zoom in. Okay, this is a gear drive machine. It's not a potted motor. The motor's in the bottom of the machine. There's a shaft that runs up to the hand wheel and drives the gear up there. So we've got gears here. We're going to want to clean this up, and oil all of this. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But first, let's go ahead and I'm going to take this out to the garage. I have compressed air, and I'm going to blow all the lint from the 28 years, hopefully, out of that machine. And then when you go to take the top off, it's just 2 screws, pretty easy, one on each side. And that'll reveal all the mechanics inside. This sewing machine, completely mechanical. I haven't worked on one of these for a while. I'm pretty sure everything inside is steel. 2 screws, top cover just lifts off right there. I'll set that off to the side. This face plate here shows you how to thread the machine. That's kind of handy. They put that diagram in there. That has 2 pins. If this is hanging when you look at the machine, one of these pins is probably broken. That's not a good thing. Okay, so I've got the top and the side off just by removing those 2 screws. It's important that we oil all this up. I'll show you how to do that. Like I said, I'm going to do chapters and I'll go step by step on the video. And then you've got all your gears and mechanical things up here. So let me get you off the tripod real quick. The way this works is when you turn these dials in the front here, hope you can see this, there's a mechanism that has to slide. There's a round shaft in the back for the front dial and a round shaft in the front for the back dial. And I can tell right now they are already sticky. And if you buy one of these and these don't want to move at all, you're going to have to do a lot of cleaning in here to get all this functioning again, unless you just want to do a straight stitch, because that's probably what somebody had it set up for that they were doing anyway. Okay, this is where I think we're going to start chapter 1, because this is the way I go about dealing with the machines when I get them anyway. Is I like to start on the bottom, just oiling everything on the bottom of the machine. And I've just got this, I like these small oilers. And if you got the booklet, it should show you where to oil the machine. Or you can kind of watch what I'm doing here. The most important thing is just turn the hand wheel, reach over to the side, turn the hand wheel. Things will start moving. And it should be pretty obvious where you need to put your oil. I did plug in the machine. I did get the cord and the foot pedal with the machine. I did plug it in after turning it over by hand, just to make sure it wasn't stuck or anything. And I could tell it was sluggish just because everything's so dry, so I just stopped and thought there isn't any point to go beyond that until I oil the machine. Okay, so I don't know, did I mention I did take it out to the garage and blow all the lint out. And on this machine there is a lever right here where my finger is, if you can see my hand moving. There is a lever for the needle plate. I'm moving it right now, and see, this is bone dry right here. That is going to really be difficult to move with that being so dry. So we want to get a little oil on there, and you can see it goes through this shaft and lifts this mechanism up. You're going to want to deal with that area. The initial oiling, it might look like I'm putting a lot of oil on, but you know, when it hasn't been oiled for a long time, you need to get things moving. And there's also a little mechanism right here. It's a spring-loaded mechanism with a pin. Now that's going to push the needle plate up high enough that you can, okay, there, now it's working better, that you can get the needle plate off and switch from the zig-zag decorative foot needle plate, which has the slot in it, to the needle plate with just a round hole. That way, if you're doing fine fabrics, you won't push the or if you're doing like a stretchy fabric, I had to repair some gloves for a guy once. They were like circulation gloves. They're real stretchy. And there it goes. And you couldn't sew, it would push it right down through the hole when you tried to sew it. So we had to switch to a just around needle plate. Okay, well I think that'll cover oiling the bottom of the machine, and we'll jump ahead. Just get the position set up and we'll jump ahead to the next thing. Here we are at the side of the sewing machine. Again, same idea here. Turn the hand wheel and put oil where the moving parts are. There are small holes in these parts where you can put oil, little oiling ports. Because this area is easy to get at without really, well, the bottom's easy to get at too as far as I'm concerned, but I think this is probably where people are doing the most maintenance as far as oiling. They'll probably open that door quick, put a little oil in there, and that's like right here. I might as well point this out. That's the little spring-loaded shaft there for your presser foot tension. And because this is a zigzag machine, I'll put the point at my oiler right here. There's going to be a shaft that comes off of here that goes back in. If your machine doesn't want to zigzag or get stuck, make sure this is oiled, because this has to, let's see if I can move it here. No, I can't. This has to move in and out. So let me just keep looking at everything here where I need to get oil. Got one more back here. So okay, I'm going to pause it just for a second. Okay, what I did is I came over here to the front and moved the needle position to 5. That way I can show you what I'm talking about on this shaft for the zigzag. I can grab the needle bar down here. I'm just right out of the shot. I can grab the needle bar and I can move it back and forth. That's your zigzag. And when you do that, you want to make sure that right in here, there's a pin going into a hole on this mechanism that's got to be oiled up. And also right here, you're going to see an oiling hole right here. Try to keep my hand out of the picture. Make sure you get oil in there. You can see all these parts that are moving. This machine is doing a lot of work because it's all mechanical, and as it follows that cam stack inside, that motor has to get all these things turning, and if things aren't oiled up right, they aren't going to work the way they're supposed to. Okay, I think that takes care of this side here. The top's going to be a little bit of a challenge. I'll see how high I can get the camera so you can look down in there. Here we are looking into the machine from the top view. This is the cam stack. It's just a bunch of different cams on edge here. These are the two little reference pins that are followed by the dial here in the front. And I can feel this is, when you grab the back one and pull it towards you, I can feel this needs to be oiled. It's pretty darn sticky. There's a lot of moving parts here you're going to have to oil. It's not terrible. I've had a lot worse. I've had them where these don't even want to move at all. They are just gummed up and they don't want to cooperate at all. There's a little reference pin right here. I don't know if you can see it with the camera angle. What it's doing is it's doing two things at the same time. It's following the cam stack and it's moving the, I'll just push this in and out, or maybe I can slide this over and grab the needle bar over here. Okay, I can't really see you, but all right. I'm moving the needle bar. What it's doing is following the cam stack and moving this for your different stitches on the zigzag part of it. So you really have to, you're gonna have to spend some time and go in here and just move things around, turn the hand wheel, because not only are you gonna have all the normal parts on a straight stitch machine that you got to make sure that you get oil on and that you make sure they're clean, but you're also going to have the fact that this does all these different stitches. You're going to have to deal with oiling and cleaning all this too. I'm not going to worry about cleaning this for right now. I haven't even tested the machine to see if it'll do different stitches. What I want to do right now is just get things oiled up so they're moving. It can soak overnight or for a day if it has to. And then if there's any large amounts of grease anywhere, I can come in and just clean those off. This one doesn't want to move right now. Better oil this one a little bit. Okay, so I think that covers the oiling the top of the machine. Now I think we should just take a quick look at the hook and bobbin case area. Here we are looking at the bobbin case and the hook area. I'll just turn the hand wheel a little bit. This is a rotary hook. It just goes around and around and around. Not an oscillating hook. It makes the machine run a little bit smoother. I took the needle out just so I don't poke myself here, but if you want to get this bobbin case out on this machine, just pick up on this a little bit. I could maybe just do it with my finger. Let's see here. Everything's harder when you're trying not to knock the camera over. And then let's see, I'm not sure, haven't done one of these for a while. Did I get lucky? All right, I did. See this little notch here? Well, okay, the needle bar is all the way up. So I'm gonna say, let's see, let me go one more time. Okay, needle bar is all the way up. Needle bar is all the way up, and I see a little notch here, and that's when the bobbin case pulled right out, because it has to go in a certain way. So that's where your bobbin will sit, right in here. Let me quickly, I know it's probably going to be out of focus, but I just grabbed a 66 bobbin here. I just wanted to quickly see how tight this is. It's like I say, I got the machine the other day and I didn't do anything to it. Okay, I can tell from experience that feels pretty good. It's a little bit on the tight side, but this machine might need that. So you can take this out and clean it. This one's pretty clean actually. And if you need to adjust the bobbin tension, it's the screw right here. You're gonna see two screws. Let me turn a little bit more, try to look at the camera. Okay, this screw just holds the mechanism in here. This is the screw. Clockwise is tighter, more tension. Counterclockwise, looser, less tension. And another important thing in here, yeah, this looks really clean, but let's get the foot up out of the way. And then if you can see my finger over the right of the shot here, this is where you can bring up the throat plate position like that. And I think the up position, okay, that's if you want to do free motion. This way the feed dogs won't move the fabric on you. You can do free motion work. And then because I oiled that mechanism underneath, this does come all the way up. I think I bumped the camera there, but oh well. So we can get this, you got to get this in just the right spot so the feed dogs are out of the way. And that's not too bad. So you can get in there and you can clean all of this out. And yeah, it doesn't look too bad in there. Well, what you want to do, clean all that out really well. I'll do that later, just for time constraints here. And we'll flip this back down. And let me show you one thing you should oil in here. You should probably put a drop of oil down this hole. I'm putting 2 down there because this hasn't been oiled for 26 years. And then make sure you put a little oil on the rim of this rotating hook, because what's happening is this is sitting on here like so. Oops, my needle bar all the way up right there. Okay, I need to hold this with one finger like that and push this back. This is the little clip that holds it in right here. Now, you're going to notice this is kind of wiggly and loose. Well, it has to be, because your thread has to be able to pass by. When this sews, the thread has to be able to get around that bobbin case. All right, time to move on to the next thing. Here we are on this side of the machine. We've done the bottom, we've done the face plate, we've done the top. Now we're over on the hand wheel side. I'll just quickly point out the bobbin winder is right here. You're going to see a little hole to oil the shaft of this. Put a drop of oil in there, spin that wheel a little bit. And then everything I've done so far, I've done with this one screwdriver, because there's just 2 screws on the top. You have to take this screw, not all the way out, just loose, and then we can get this off. This is a little awkward, just because the way, here, let me move this, there we go. Just because the way I have the camera here. And take this off. There's a lot of threads here. Okay, then pull off this. You can pull, should be able to pull out on the hand wheel and get this washer. It's got a couple notches in it. You're going to want to make sure you get that back in the correct position, just so when you put this back on, it's in the right locking position. And I'm just going to ease this out. And I'm only taking this out. This should be cleaned up a little bit. That's another thing I'll do later. You'll see some grease inside here, old grease. Go ahead and clean that up. Main thing I wanted to do just before I test run it here is I wanted to put a little bit of oil on this shaft and a little drop of oil, well, about 5 drops of oil right into here. This has to have a little bit of play in it, so when you push it on, it can mesh with the gears. You might be able to see them back there. These are the gears on the shaft coming up from the motor. Yeah, because if this didn't have a little wiggle room to it, it would be difficult to get that back on. So I just oiled that shaft, because when you loosen this thumb nut to wind a bobbin, if you don't want everything moving, this has to be able to freely spin on here. And then this should go back on. This did move a little bit, but it should go just like that. If I did it wrong, we'll find out real quickly. Because when you tighten this down, this pin from this screw, you want it to fall in between this area. Let me get the screwdriver so I'm not blocking it. The pin on here, you want to fall in between this area right here. So when you tighten, you're on this direction, and when you loosen this, you want it to hit this pin so it stops. Otherwise, you would just screw it all the way off. So let's see what we got going here. Okay, that worked out good. I'm in the right spot. I didn't move things much, so it wasn't that difficult to stay in the same spot. So this way's locked, and this way is loose, locked, loose. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Since we're over here, I just quickly zoomed in the camera and wanted to point out, these are the 2 contacts where your power goes into the machine. This machine requires 2 different cords. The cord that goes here is the power cord, and the cord for the foot pedal goes right down here. There's 2 little holes with a receptacle for those. And let me lock you in. What was happening is I put the power cord on, and it was kind of loose and wiggly, and the light was flashing. So what was going on here was, from all these years of pushing that on and off, these 2 contacts, they're brass and they're split down the middle. These had been compressed totally together, so they were a little bit narrow. And if you attempt to do this, be very careful. Take the smallest screwdriver that you have. Well, get a screwdriver this size, let's put it that way, a teeny tiny screwdriver. Open this gap up about a 1/16 of an inch. Don't get wild doing this. You don't want to break these off and make for a bad day. You'd have to buy this whole new piece. But I opened these up just a little bit, and that just tightened everything up just enough that the light wasn't flashing anymore, and I've got constant power. That could be really annoying if you're sewing along and all of a sudden the machine just stops because you're not getting power anymore. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. This is the size needle I'm going to use. It's just a standard needle. It's a size 14, which is kind of a middle of the road needle. And I've put the needle in. We see a little arrow right here pointing from the front to the back, which means the flat part of the needle needs to go to the back because the thread is going to go from the front to the back. Rotary hook machine, pretty simple. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. We're going to wind a bobbin. I'm going to put all the cover plates back on everything. We'll wind a bobbin and we'll see if this thing's going to work. Alright, I have the machine all set up. The book actually shows you what you have to do. It's been a while since I worked on one of these 401s, but it's pretty obvious. You have to loosen the thumb nut over here on the hand wheel. Put your bobbin down here with the thread coming around the front. Go through this guide up to the bobbin, and then you just have to hold it and put this. I'm not on here the right way. That's better. Sometimes when you have these and the paper's gone, you can accidentally get in one of these side instead of the middle. Okay, I think we're ready to try it if I don't knock anything over. Alright. Wow, sounds better already with that oil on there. I'm not going to put too much thread on that. That should be enough just to do a quick test. Alright, that's how you wind the bobbin. And let's see, right there's the hole you want to put oil in. Should be able to see that. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Here we are at the bobbin case and hook area. I've got the bobbin wound. I'm just taking a quick look at this here, which way I need to go. Okay, I'm gonna put it in so that the thread is going this way and it's coming off the left side. So when I drop it in here, I got to go through this little, wow, that was too easy, through this little groove, and then there's another little groove right here that it'll pull up through. And see how when I'm pulling on that, it's going counterclockwise. And then what you want to do is shut this little door, and your thread is supposed to come right through here, through this little hole. All right, let's move on to the next thing. That's going to be threading the machine, and I'll pause the video for a second and we'll jump to that. Okay, we've got our spool of thread on top of the 401A, and come off the back side of the spool. You want to go through this guide down the right hand side. I'm going to pan down here. Around the right hand side, make sure that the presser foot is in the up position so these discs open up. Go into the pressure discs, come around here. Let me lock this in. You're going to want to, you can just put your finger on the thread and just make sure you get on this little hook right here, and then go down through this take-up spring, through the right side of the take-up lever. Let me pull that back up. And then I got to grab my thread or I'm going to lose it. There we go. Then you come down through the next guide here, and there's a lot of guides on this machine. Down through this guide, then there's another one right here, then there's a little one here, and there's actually still one more on the needle, where you tighten the needle here on the needle bar, and then go from the front to the back with the thread through the needle. And then we'll just put the presser foot down, and I'll just spin this by hand, and we capture the bottom thread and we can pull it out. Put the presser foot up and go like this. Wow, I was just getting a piece of fabric and that wind's really howling today out there. Must be a cold front moving in. Alright, so I'm just going to turn this over by hand to bury the needle, I did put in a brand new needle. Let me get my foot over here to the presser. Here we go. It sounds really good. I think it's liking that new oil. Okay, I set the upper tension to 4. And let me just, the size 14 needle is like right on the money for what I'm sewing here. And looks like that's setting the tension down below in the bobbin case a little earlier. Well, I didn't actually set it, I just checked it, but it felt pretty good. And then setting the upper tension on 4 worked out pretty good because I've got a really nice stitch going there. I hope you can see that. So I think that's gonna be, well, let's not say that yet. Let's try something here. Okay, I looked in the front cover there. I want to try a zigzag stitch. So it says that you have to move these dials to, let me see what moves what. Okay, this one moves this side. You have to move to B over here. I better lock that. And then you have to pull out on this one. Oh, you're only moving one. You have to move to L on that one, and that should give you the zigzag stitch. So let's give that a try. I've got it on the widest width, number 5. I shortened up the stitch length to about a 10, just so they're a little closer together. And my foot on the pedal here. Oh, let's go a little bit shorter stitch. It's not the machine, it's my foot. I'm wearing slippers. Let's turn this around. Let's see what's happening on the back. It's feeding okay, but let's see what's happening back here. Okay, I'm looking at the back of the zigzag, and it's pulling a little bit, if you can see that. I mean, if you want to be fussy, it is pulling a little bit too hard. I need to go with a little more upper tension. When the bottom thread has a problem, or so you have a problem on the bottom, you have to adjust the tension on the top. So I'm going to go from a 4 to a 5 and take another look at that. I don't want it pulling so hard that it's pulling the bottom thread through the top. I think I looked at that yesterday on a video that I did. Looks like it could use a little more. We'll go to a 6. Okay, let me just get this out of the way. That looks pretty good now. I might have to back off a little bit. Yeah, that's too much. You have to be careful because when you're making these adjustments, you want the top stitch to look good, but you don't want to go so tight on your upper tension that you are pulling the fabric together, because then it's just it's not doing you any good. So I think I'm going to throw in a new piece of material here. I think number 5 is going to be the balance. That'll have to be the acceptable balance in order for this to look good on top and to not pull the fabric together. That looks pretty good. It's not squeezing the fabric together between the stitches, and it's not pulling the bottom thread up too aggressively. So I think that's what we're going to go with right there, number 5. Leave comments down below. Subscribe if you'd like to. It doesn't cost anything. And if you leave a like and subscribe, it helps out the channel. And I'll just keep making these videos. I'm working on these machines anyway. It does take a little bit longer when you're trying to shoot a video camera angles and all that whatnot, but it helps out people. I know I learned a lot by watching videos on YouTube, so I'm just kind of passing it on here.